What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the massive leak that has come out on this Harry Potter open world RPG. We've been talking about this game quite a bit over the last couple weeks, and I'll tell you, I like the fact that we're getting more talk about this game, more rumors, more leaks. This is a big one. There's a lot that needs to be discussed here, and I don't want to ruin your day or ruin the mood of these leaks, but there are definitely some very big worrisome signs pointing at that this is all made up. Okay, so I do want, as always with these things, we take them with a grain of salt, right? I say that with literally every single leak or rumor video I do. It sounds amazing, and we're gonna go over everything that we heard about it, but I do think you have to take it with a grain of salt because there are some pretty big warning signs that this could all be fake. Now, really quickly before I get started, we have a Discord. I know I've been promoting it in other Harry Potter videos. I'll leave a link for it in the description below if you guys want to check it out. A lot of people have already joined it. We're getting closer to 500 members, a really good community. We have a Harry Potter category in there where we can talk all things Harry Potter. So again, if you guys want to check that out, if you have not yet done that, definitely feel free to. It's in the description below. All right, so I think what we'll do first is we're going to just read through. There's this article. Obviously, this is from a VG247. It's been all over the internet. This is just one article reporting on it, but we're going to go over basically all the different things that were said about it, the highlights, and then I'm going to talk about my impressions of it and if I believe this to be true, and also, spoiler alert, why I actually think that a lot of this isn't true. So, this comes from Reddit. This is a person who says that they're working with publisher Warner Bros. On promotional materials. Now, remember, already it sounds like that guy a couple weeks ago, or maybe like last week, remember, he had said that he's doing like voiceover for stuff next, and that's how he knows that it's coming out next year. So already we're seeing some like parallels there. For starters, the post claims that it's going to be called Hogwarts: A Dark Legacy. As the name suggests, you'll be playing as a Hogwarts student all the way until graduation. You get to pick the gender of your character, customize them, as well as choose whether they're pureblood, muggle, or half-blood. Interestingly, the game will deal with mature themes, which the leaker says could push it towards an M rating or T at the lowest. Romance subplots are seemingly part of the reason, as you'll be able to marry love interests. Chronologically, the game takes place after the events of the book, so you won't be facing Voldemort, rather a former Death Eater leading a cast of smaller villains. The setting will allow for some cameos, however, according to the leaker. The world has a hub-based structure, and each major area is said to contain its own NPCs, quests, and the like. Hogwarts, Hogsmeade, and the Ministry are 3 of the 4 included. As with any RPG, Dark Legacy will also have a skill tree that you will climb through over the course of the game. It's said to have 5 branches with some skills locked behind good points and others evil, but the leaker notes that you won't be able to learn any forbidden spells. Combat is described as fluid, seemingly reliant on tactics and proper management of energy. You'll be pitted against creatures from the Harry Potter universe, as well as other rival wizards. Rivals are a big component, according to the post, and they're generated by a Shadow of Mordor-style nemesis system. Each playthrough players will have one unique rival who can be beaten, killed, or made an ally based on decisions you make in the game. The seemingly content-filled adventure will include a few bonus modes. Quidditch was specifically mentioned, alongside an in-universe card said to be on the level of The Witcher 3's Gwent. As for an official reveal, the post suggests it'll happen before August, with the release currently targeting June 2021. This makes sense, as Warner Bros. Was planning to host its first E3 this year before the world's current disaster. Okay, now, again, full transparency, I didn't read all of that before I started recording this video, so this is the first time I read some of that. Let's go through this piece by piece, okay? Let's literally dissect it. Title makes sense. You can't read too much into the title, though, because, honestly, anybody can come up with a title. It does sound cool. Hogwarts: A Dark Legacy, it's fine. It's not, like, the most amazing thing in the world. It doesn't seem fake, but it also seems very, somebody created it, which anybody, whenever the title does come out, obviously that is a creation of the team. So you can't really read too much into that. The thing is, it kind of breaks down for me right after it. We knew from the leaks back, and this is important, you got to go back to the October of 2018 leaks, okay? Because those were the original ones where we saw gameplay. This is when we first heard about this game. We got all of this knowledge on the game, and so it's important to kind of compare and contrast it with that. We knew we were going to be a fifth-year Hogwarts student. Now, nobody said anything about you going through all of the rest of the years, right? Nobody said that. This says all the way until graduation. So isn't that 3, because isn't there 7 years, you go to Hogwarts? So that's 3 full years you're going to be in Hogwarts, I guess, in this game. That was never said before. It was never not said. I'll give them that. But that is obviously a brand new thing. You get to pick the gender, obviously customize them, as well as choose whether they're pureblood, muggle, or half-blood. I think, again, whether or not this is made up or real, I think that probably will be true. I think that makes a lot of sense, honestly, because you obviously, in the Harry Potter universe, you're only one of the 3, right? So to be able to kind of choose where you now, I don't know if that's going to give you something specific, you know what I mean? If they're going to go the skill point route, which it seems like, and again, if we just kind of speculate, that would be, skill points, leveling system, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you get more in one category versus another, depending on what kind of person you are. So again, I mean, that makes sense. That's not the worst thing. Now, the whole M-rated thing, that's hilarious, because we just talked about that. Isn't that funny? I don't think they watch, whoever this person is, I don't think they watch my videos, but it's honestly, to me, it's pretty darn hilarious that we just talked about the rating of this game, if it could be M rating, why it doesn't really make sense, because yes, I mean, the books and the movies, I mean, they get darker as they go on, but I wouldn't say that, and I do agree with that, they get darker, but having said that, they don't get into a R rating category for the movies, they don't get into an M rating category for games, you know what I mean? I mean, there's death, but there's nothing, it's not, like I've said, it's nothing gruesome, it's nothing gore, all those words that I don't really want to use, right? It doesn't really push that higher rating system, you know what I mean? So just kind of weird. Now, this is where I kind of lose it here. Romance subplots are seemingly part of the reason. Now, that's fine, because you imagine that you're going to, and we've talked about it, right? You're going to have the dialogue, you're going to have dialogue choices, you're going to make friends and and I've even said you're going to make relationships, but you'll be able to marry love interests, but you're like 16 years old. So why? How could you marry them? That is very weird. Even if you go through completion, like through graduation, unless it's like a thing of the movie where like the game ends, let's say, like the natural quests and the story of the game ends, and then there's like an epilogue where if you did certain things, or if there's a couple romance options, one of them like you'll marry at the very end, like when you're a little older, you know what I mean? Unless it's that, which just seems weird. And also a thing to note is, how do you make sequels with this? You know what I mean? If you're in Hogwarts, if you're a 5th year Hogwarts student, but then you're playing it through the end of your time in Hogwarts, and you can marry somebody, then where do you go with sequels? I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, could you work for the Ministry of Magic in the next game? You know what I mean? Could you like grow up and, I don't know, you're like an adult, maybe you're a teacher at Hogwarts. I mean, I guess there are things you could do if you want sequels, and again, like maybe sequels aren't on the top of everybody's list of what they have in mind, or what they're thinking of right now, but it's important, because again, I don't think you make a game of the scope that we think this game should and can be. I don't think you do that if you don't plan on making more than them. Okay, so that one is a little weird. That one is immediately weird. Now, this actually is the biggest thing. The game takes place after the events of the book. That is not the original leak. The leak was it takes place hundreds of years before. Remember, Dumbledore, Voldemort, Grindelwald, all of them would not even be in the game. I think Dumbledore wouldn't even be born yet, from what people have said. So remember, the original leaks was before. Now all of a sudden we have after. Very, very weird. That, I mean, completely contradicts the original leak. So I think right there is kind of the make or break moment where that's a huge leap. That is not what we've been told for 2 years, almost 2 years at this point. That is not what we've been told. That's big. I mean, and then when you go off of that, like it's a Death Eater, so it's one of Voldemort's, group, his posse, and then he's got other people. I mean, okay, like that's weird. That's not really like I don't know. That's a very, very strange thing. The setting will allow for some cameos. That's fine. The world has a hub-based structure going into major areas. That's fine. I like that. I think that probably will happen. I really do. I think that's something that could very well happen. And also the skill tree going through it, that things are going to be locked behind being good, being evil. That makes sense. Another thing, too, when it goes down to the combat, I really, out of all of these things, I want the combat to be the correct thing. I really do, because you have the whole rival thing. I think is actually really, really cool to have like a rival student or whatever, and they're kind of generated by the game. You know what I mean? I really do like that. I think that's an amazing thing. And we've talked about that. The Shadow of the Middle Earth games, those games, the Nemesis system, I really do hope they're implemented in all of these other Warner Bros. Games in their own way. I don't obviously want them, one-to-one, but I want this Harry Potter game to do its own thing. I want, the Batman game. I want Rocksteady's game. I want all of those things to do its own thing with this Nemesis system. I think the potential for it is absolutely massive. So for the whole combat thing, I like it. The one thing is it says that you're not going to learn forbidden spells. So isn't that Avada Kedavra? Isn't that a forbidden spell? So that means you won't be able to eliminate people. But what's weird about it is it literally says the one rival can be beaten, killed, or made an ally based on your decisions. How can they be killed if you can't use the spell? Unless obviously it just means maybe some story way, like obviously there's going to be death in the story. Unless it's that, that kind of contradicts itself. But I think that honestly will disappoint people because we've been talking. Remember, we actually had that talk too. Will you be able to be evil? If there's good and bad options in this game, which even in this leak says it will, and we honestly assume that it's going to be. If there's going to be good and bad options, how bad are we going to be able to push it? You know what I mean? Up until now, we haven't really been sure. If this leak is true, it seems like we're not going to be able to push it all that far. Is it just kind of like name calling and like using spells to like pants somebody? You know what I mean? Like, is that what we're going to be doing? But it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. But if it's M-rated, if it's more in the M-rated, and they're only doing that for romance purposes, then why wouldn't you do it for eliminating people purposes, to use the right words? You know what I mean? So like that, again, we're starting to find more and more contradictions as we go through. The Quidditch thing, again, we've talked about that. I really want that to happen. I just really don't know if it would happen. And then the card thing, again, like if they could do the wizarding chest, which we talked about, that would be definitely something. And then the final thing is it'll be announced before August with the release of June 2021. Now that, it lines up. Again, that's not... it's tough when leakers do things like this because that's a situation where, of course, we know Warner Bros. Was going to announce it in June, and we expect that even if they break these games announcements up, they're going to be like 1 month. So Harry Potter would get announced before August, okay? So again, that's not really like, oh, they're insiders, they know that. I know that. We've said that numerous times, right? I've said that 1,000 times on the channel. And then releasing June 2021, I guess that ultimately for me, how I read that would be, okay, so the order is Batman, Harry Potter, Rocksteady. That's the order that these 3 games come out. And again, just remember what I've been saying. When do I think Rocksteady's game is coming out? Around the Arkham Knight time, which is June of next year, because I think it goes Batman, Rocksteady, Harry Potter. So these guys just think it goes the other way around. So, there's a lot here. This is the biggest, besides I would say that October one, when we first got this announced, I'd say this is the biggest amount of info and news that we have seen on this game. Now, with that being said, it's not perfect. In fact, it's actually very, very far from perfect. There are some very, very big warning signs, but let me say this. I don't really believe it. I don't believe a lot of this stuff. I think some of the stuff probably will come true just by them guessing, okay? So that's where I stand on it. With that being said, like I said in the beginning of the video, I do actually like that this is happening. I like talking about leaks. I like talking about rumors. It's fun that we're finally getting some on Harry Potter, and I think it'll just continue to pick up as things go on. So it's going to be really, really fun, I think, over the next couple weeks, over the next couple months. So guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you believe these leaks? Do you not believe these leaks? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up, and I'll be continuing covering Harry Potter if anything happens. Obviously, when it gets announced, all of that stuff, I'll be covering it here on this channel. Again, the Discord server will be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.